Peace, peace, peace. What's popping? What's popping? Hey, this is Eliante Bell. Just want to weigh in, guys, on what's going on now in regards to this latest little incident with the police and the black man. Peace to George Floyd and his family. I just pray you guys can find peace in the midst of this storm, this continual storm that we continually I'm bombarded with here in what we call the United States of America. This thing is just been going on for far too long. But I just want to just weigh in on this whole situation, and I just pray that I can be coherent and try to make some sense of this. As and I was very slow about weighing in because there are so many things that continue to come in that don't add up. I know some of these guys with these larger channels have like research teams, but I just endeavor to do my own research. I'm just like a one-man band, just turning over rocks. And so it just means sacrificing a lot of sleep, going down some, as you call, rabbit holes that most people just won't do. I do have an awesome resource. My homeboy Tim, he and I chopped it up last night, and I like to just bounce stuff off of him. I got to give my homeboy Jay a call as well, because I've been also just bouncing some stuff off from some of my homies, guys I trust, because I got some different views on what's really popping off. So before I just go out here just all callously just, spatting off stuff, I have some guys that I trust and I bounce stuff off, and I just ask them to just make sure if I'm on point or not sometimes, make sure I'm not too far radical. But this just gets old. And but there are some things about this whole thing that doesn't sit well with me. One thing that allegedly these guys worked together. They possibly knew each other, and the security guard. The officer, apparently his neighbors didn't even know that he was even a cop. And so a lot of this stuff just seems like there's more to the story. Now, I'm mindful of the fact that the narrative always goes that don't ever let a good crisis go to waste. And then there's always elements that look to, proliferate, ameliorate, to add to when people are already suffering, adding to your grief. We've already have just a complete mind, FUCK, with this whole Corona gate, and this whole social distancing, which is also just designed, just by design. Listen to what it's saying: social distance, stay apart. And now the ultimate divide and conquer is the whole dichotomy of the black versus white. You know what I mean? Us against them, people against the cops, black man against the police. So I'm mindful of that. But also, I even went back and just looked at some things that went down with even Trayvon Martin, and just looked at that again. And I advise each of you to even do a second look at that. What happened with Trayvon was a tragedy. However, the media, in my honest opinion, did not give us all the facts. Where Trayvon was on the phone with his girlfriend, right? But they didn't tell you that they never interviewed the girlfriend. They interviewed some girl who said she was a girlfriend. So a lot of facts are always left out of the equation, and we go out here and having this reaction. And that's one of the things I want to leave as a takeaway from this video is we got to stop being so reactionary, and we have to just look at being proactive, because they've already said the second wave is coming. So, I mean, have we really given a thought to just what that second wave is? Now it's here. Now react to it. Okay, so now just be mindful. There's going to be other things that's going to also come about to bring about a bunch of discord. So now we have the protesters. You have to be really smart now, even with protests, because these jokers that out here that orchestrate all this stuff, they already know our moves. So they know we're going to go out here to protest. So what do? They infiltrate the protests. They give guys paid provocateurs to go out here and to basically just wreak havoc and cause the riots from what would otherwise be peaceful protests. Because even when the coronavirus, first hit the scene, I was mindful of our First Amendment right, that's the right to peaceably protest, to peaceably assemble, okay? And also, our Second Amendment right is the right to bear arms. And those right to bear arms was always just in case your government became despotic. And our government has long since been a despot. And so there's no other way to look at this. So yeah, I'm not for disarming anybody. And don't try to miss me with all that fear about all these whatever hate groups. I get it, that they have a right to hold their arms, and we should do the same. And I'll even talk about that in a minute as well, as about maybe a protectorate that we should possibly even establish. But anyway, so it's sometimes like when I start to hear stuff, and it takes me back to conversations I've had with people, in times past. But now you have like piles of bricks that just show up at these protests in front of these businesses, where these jokers just go out here and just start breaking windows, because they just happen to have piles of bricks that's just being dropped off. It's just like, we have to be smarter than that. We have to be smarter than that to understand like what's really going on. The people they just dropping off piles of bricks, so these people just get them and toss them and mess up and destroy businesses. And as a former small business owner, I'm still a business owner, just not in the sense I don't have a physical building anymore. But I can only imagine, what these people who work their tails off to, put their life and their soul into their business. The business is an entity in itself, and this is what happens. But this is nothing new, because, how many stories have I heard from crates of guns being dropped off, in our neighborhoods? I've seen some guys with some heavy heat. Like, where the hell you get that from, man? And they didn't go buy it out of Dick's or, any kind of sport goods store. They bought it off the street because somebody was dropping off, weapons in alleys for years. Been going on. They've been talking about this stuff. You know what I mean? It's just like, this is insane. Why were those weapons dropped off for the alleys? So we go kill each other. Why do they drop off bricks during this protest? Because they're trying to start discord. So it's always an ultimate divide and conquer. So I want to just be mindful of what the next wave may present. And I think largely it's going to be looking more and more toward famine. So just if you can right now, while the sun is shining, maybe get your garden planted, get your food supplies up. Don't get caught off guard. Food doesn't just come from Walmart, guys. You can actually grow your food, and don't just be dependent on the system to that degree. At least just have your basic stuff set aside, because what I just can see, what I've been seeing for years, that this thing's just going to get even worse. I don't really see a sign of this enemy relenting at any point in time, and just in what we're dealing with. So just be mindful of that. But now, I guess the whole thing now shifts. We got to get Trump out of there. I'll say this. The Orange Man, he does a good job for what he's been paid and hired to do. And I do say hired, okay? Because your government is all fake, is de facto. Your government has long been gone away. And you're going to see that more and more, as now you can bring in these martial law, these executive orders. What it does is it basically eliminates the Constitution. But your divider in chief in Trump is not the problem. He's just somebody that can just go help and throw some gas on the fire. But guys, we had these same issues when Barry was in office. Barry Obama, same stuff. This is nothing that's new. And I want to just even bring attention to Emmett Till. Emmett Till was killed August 28, 1955. We're about to embark upon a 65-year anniversary, I guess you would call it, of Emmett Till's death. His birthday actually has the same birthday as my daughter Sigourney, July 25th, 1941. And he was born. He was killed at 14 years of age. All right, my little city, my hometown, Mound Bayou, Mississippi. Yes, we took in Miss Mamie Till and gave her refuge. Made sure she got to the trial every day. Made sure she had a place to stay. Made sure she had food to eat. So as a young black man from that city, which I'm very proud of, this is nothing that's new to me. This didn't just come about when Trump came in office. We've been dealing with this since our time on this earth. And this false narrative, now we got to vote Trump out. What's the deal? We going to keep falling for that nonsense? Well, we going to, oh, we got to get those Republicans out of there. Okay, big deal. We got to get those Democrats out of there. Big deal. Nothing changes because it's all fake. It's all political theater where we have just, and I get way ahead of this stuff, and I'm thankful. Sometimes I'm thankful, but sometimes it can be a burden because I ask and pray for revelation, and I get this stuff well in advance, sometimes years in advance, and I think it's about to happen like tomorrow. So I've been waiting on this thing to come down the pipe for a while, and now it's here. I'm just like, okay, this is, you've already been seeing it. Just sit at the feet of the Father and see what you need to do to try to wake your people up. But the main thing is, guys, is our government is fake. It is de facto. All right, you have the color of law. And I'll even weigh in, and I want to really just be mindful to put together a great presentation. I want to have a great presentation on this whole thing, this whole word black. Where's your root? Where's your root? Black is an adjective. It's descriptive of something, okay? A noun names a person, place, or thing. I think we are all under a tremendous spell, even in what we call ourselves black, which has zero standing in court. So why don't you get justice? Because that whole thing, that black is not even recognized. Okay. Then they give you game and say, okay, well, call yourself African American. All right. Well, Africa, I think Africa has 55 or 54 countries, nations. Okay. America has, if you look at North, South, and Central America, has like 34, 35 nations. So just by calling ourselves African American, we claiming 89 nations. What's that you claiming? You can't go to the wrong neighborhood and it's a Crip neighborhood and you claiming blood. You go get your tail kicked, man. You got to claim the right set. So what set are we claiming in African Americans? We claiming 89 nations. Because even in Deuteronomy 28, God says he deals with nations and nationhood. And guys, I'll tell you this. The biggest attack that I've ever encountered in my life is when I started studying bloodlines and pedigree. Literally, and I'll tag my homeboy Mike James on this. We had a little small group that he and I kind of helped orchestrate in Birmingham, where these topics that we're dealing with now, we were way ahead of this stuff. But it got disbanded because there was a tremendous spiritual attack on the organization because the things that we were uncovering. In fact, one Sunday, I gave a pretty extensive discourse on bloodlines and pedigree, and using references of dogs. And that's what I'm going to go more into. And I'm going to put it out there for you guys as well. But literally that Sunday, man, my homeboy Mike damn near lost his life. I mean, he got hit by a truck while he was on his motorcycle, man, and he almost expired. I'm thankful that he's still here. Because what he and I did and our whole thing and our whole reason for setting up the group was, and our motto was to establish a generation of intellectual warriors that will fight against ignorance at all costs. Because largely what we deal with is just ignorance. It's just lack of knowledge, just not really knowing what's really going on. So we would scour and turn over rocks and find all kind of stuff. And it was crazy. One of the things that we always looked at, this is my sister, bless her soul, Frances Cress Welsing, the keys to the races, you know what I'm saying? Keys to the colors, the ISIS papers. So we were all over that book. That was like one of our main things we were looking at because we're just trying to figure out this whole, dichotomy, this whole, white supremacist narrative. So, but this is nothing that's new. So you miss me with this whole nonsense about let's just vote Trump out of there. Like, I'm not sitting here waiting for this, November and this is going to be the end all be all, because I see also where even Trump is being done dirty, and to whatever degree you want to call that. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, this whole thing about like, we just can't have this dude, be elected again because, I don't know. And I try to give even people warning. I said, if Trump goes through and exposes a lot of the dirt on Obama, I said, it's going to ignite a race war. And that's why I think now he has to now kind of put his hands behind his back because, you know, when it says drain the swamp, you got to understand there's a lot of crooked swamp creatures. And, you know, you guys looking at just skin color, that's so foolish. Okay. Use your discernment. Look, use all your senses. Okay. Every last one of them. Your third eye, you know, understand that, that these guys are all just, man, they're all swamp creatures, dude. And we're dealing with a vicious enemy here. But I made some notes. So I don't want to get sidetracked. But anyway, the Hegelian dialect, you know, you hear that constantly. That's sort of the whole problem, reaction, solution. Okay. They present the problem. Okay. They watch our reaction. They manipulate that. Then they give us a solution. All right. But what you have now is that the jure government has been long gone. Your country, United States of America Corporation, has long been dissolved. I mean, this country has filed bankruptcy even more times than Trump. So you want to understand why can Trump be like even the president of this corporation, because he understands that he even understands like bankruptcy realignment. This country right now, what we're dealing with, where they're literally going to be a collapse of the economic system completely. If you guys have gotten a copy of my book right now, Revelation, even both copies, I write about the collapse of the dollar because it's inevitable, because you can't continue to just print yourself out of this whole little problem we got ourselves into. And it's a problem of epic proportions. But I want to read something because I'm mindful that we think that our congressmen, our presidents, our all our so-called elected officials, that they have our best interests in mind. But they don't, guys. You got to understand that this is just a Roman Curium operations just operating here in North America, that they all answer to the Pope, and they all take an oath that they don't swear an oath to us. They swear an oath to the Pope. So I want to just read you the Jesuit oath. Okay. And this can kind of help shed some light on what we're dealing with, because, you know, there's a constant bombardment of poison on us, you know, constant. Like if you really got the whole depth of what has gone on and with the government and the media and all this manipulation and all this stuff, it would just blow your mind. So we would really, truly burn this place down to the ground. So they keep us ignorant and blind to what's going on, because to whatever degree that we know a little something, I mean, you can see we just react in ways that they already predict. But the Jesuit oath, I'm gonna read this and just take it for what it's worth, because when I have to say, why are they sitting here poisoning the air? Okay, every breath you breathe in poison, aluminum, barium, strontium, that has the detrimental effects. These mandatory vaccinations that's on the way. Be mindful of that. You will no longer have control of your body. You think it's bad now? Wait till they unleash millions of paid snitches on the street. Millions of paid snitches are going to hit the streets. They already have appropriated now with $100 billion for HR 6666 to pay snitches in this contact tracing nonsense. Paid snitches, it's just going to be a complete surveillance state. Now, who do you think are going to be disproportionately targeted? There you go. I ain't got to say it out loud. The Jesuit oath. I now, in the presence of Almighty God, the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Blessed Michael, the Archangel, the Blessed Saint John the Baptist, and my ghostly father, the Superior General of the Society of Jesus, founded by Ignatius Loyola, do by the womb of the Virgin swear that His Holiness the Pope is Christ's vice regent and is the true and only head of the Catholic or Universal Church. I do now renounce and disown any allegiance is due to any heretical king, prince, or state, named Protestant or liberal, or obedience to any of their laws or magistrates or officers. I do further declare the doctrine of the Church of England and Scotland and of Calvinists, Huguenots, and of the name of Protestant or liberal to be damnable and themselves to be damned, who will not forsake the same. I do further promise and declare that, withstanding, I am dispensed with to assume my religion heretical for the propagation of Mother Church's interest, to keep secret and private all her agents, counsels from time to time as they interest me, and not divulge, directly or indirectly by word, writing, or circumstances whatever. I do furthermore promise and declare that I will, when opportunity presents, make and wage relentless war, secretly or openly, against all heretics, Protestants and liberals, as I am directed to, expatriate them from the face of the earth, and that I will spare neither age, sex, or condition, and that I will hang, burn, waste, boil, flay, strangle, and bury alive those infamous heretics. Rip up the stomach and wombs of the women and crush their infants' heads against the walls in order to annihilate their exorable race. That when the same cannot be done openly, I will secretly use a poisonous cup, the strangling cords, the steels of pointed or leaden bullets, regardless of the honor, rank, dignity, or authority of the persons, whatever may be their condition in life, either public or private, as I at any time may be directed to by any agent of the Pope or the superior of the Holy Father of the Society of Jesus, in confirmation of which I hereby dedicate my life, my soul, and my corporal powers. And with this dagger, which I now receive, I will subscribe my name written in my blood in testimony thereof. And should I prove false or weaken in my determination, may my brethren and fellow soldiers of the militia of the Pope cut off my hands and my feet and my throat from ear to ear. Boston necktie. Rip my belly open, and sulfur burn therein, and all the punishments that can be inflicted on me on earth, and my soul be tortured by demons in an eternal hell forever. In testimony thereof, I take this most holy and blessed sacrament of the Eucharist, and witness the same further with my name written with the point of this dagger dipped in my own blood and sealed in the face of the Holy Covenant. Now, if you can understand what I just read, okay, and understand that when you running your ass out here to them polls, okay, and putting these people in office, they're not acting in our best interest, guys. They're answering to their father, and they just told you who their father is. So they'll tell you one thing in public, and they'll do a different thing in private. See, when you got to understand that this is 2020, this year is a perfect vision. When I keep telling you guys that we're dealing with a vile enemy that don't mean us any well and any good, it is serious. It is real, guys. Be mindful of what we're dealing with. So yes, they're going to try to poison you with the vaccines. Yes, it's on the way. It's already been going on. Where do you think cancer comes from and autism? Yes, they're sending that poison in the air. You know, they're prepared to do something totally different. You know, if you got to understand that, like, there's so much money that's been missing, you know, with the black budget. There's domes, deep underground bunkers where there's elements that's already prepared to, like, for this whole thing on the surface just to implode. And they're going to just watch it implode and then go from there. So anyway, so miss me with this whole nonsense. Yes, 45 is a divider in chief. Yes, 45, you know, they all need to go. But before you just, you know, think that somehow magically that Biden is going to be our savior, that Biden is any less racist than Trump, you're disillusioned. You are really disillusioned. Biden doesn't even know his name on some days, from what I hear. It's like this guy is dementia setting in. So you have to ask yourself then, if we know this about Biden, then when whoever Biden's VP is going to become your de facto president. And so you already can kind of see that I can give you two names. It's either going to be Michelle or it's going to be Hillary. Okay, either way, because they have both proven to be in the nefarious world that they've done their job and they're going to be looking to be rewarded. And though they title may say de facto president, may say vice president, they're going to be the de facto president because Biden, before the term ends, he won't even know what day it is. It's funny that I had to take a break from this, like not sleeping, and I just turned it off for a while. I said I need to maybe watch some TV. I hadn't watched TV in months, and I turned on Designated Survivor because I recall Kiefer Sutherland when he had 24, and he gave us a lot of things that was going on in 24 that was happening with this whole terrorist thing. He gave me like some insight. So I turned on Designated Survivor, and I knew it was something I needed to watch because first episode it goes in and it says shelter in place. I was like, yep. So it's funny, this whole social program and this whole social engineering, everything that we're dealing with right now, I promise you, I'm like in episode 3 of Designated Survivor. We're dealing with it right now. The whole thing with the pandemic, the riot, all this stuff. So I'm like, is this TV or is this real life? Because it's the same exact thing that this joker wrote in this script on Designated Survivor. We're dealing with it right now. Even with the targeting of the virus, with the whole LGBT agenda, all of that is in there. They got, 2 black males, gay guys. I ain't trying to each his own, man. But it just plants a certain seed is my point. And but this is nothing new, guys. So let's just be mindful of what is going to happen next. Let's just not get so caught up in what we just seen happen right now, and just be so reactionary. Let's just be smart and understand and look, and how are we going to be ready for the next phase? Now, when you understand what I just read with the Jesuit oath and the attack, it would be wise if we as so-called black people, I'll just use the root black or more, because we need to just adopt our root. You can't, you got to have a root word. And again, more is the root of that. And we are native to this land. I knew back when there was an economist I listened to, Peter Schiff, and he was talking about how Trump had the picture of Andrew Jackson in his office and what that symbolized for capitalism and the economy and all that. I was like, no, man. I said, when I see that, I know what that meant with the whole the Indian Removal Act, how that joker fought viciously against our Seminole brothers and sisters, in the Trail of Tears. And what they don't tell you is they try to make some kind of distinction between like the so-called black man and the Indian and all this and the native. They were all one and the same. So that's the whole narrative. Let me give you a little snippet, okay? As a businessman, I know that I look to always try to cut costs and all this and that and try to do things that's going to be economically feasible and sound. So we've all seen since like grade school coming up, where we see the whole false narrative where the settlers come over here, the Indians giving them corn and all this and that and welcome them and all that. But they tell you something in that narrative, though, that the Indians, so-called Indians, the natives, they knew how to work the land. They were growing food, right? They were growing food, all right? So these guys are all already over here, meaning the natives and the Indians, okay? So you're going to bring over across the Atlantic, okay, slaves you're going to lose possibly half of your cargo. Sometimes 3/4 of people going to die on the passage over, okay, to work a land that's foreign. And I was just like, I've always just thought that doesn't make sense to me. Why wouldn't you just use the labor that's already there? Why not just, you're just going to be gangster. You got the guns. They got bow and arrows. And they know the land because you've already shown that for Thanksgiving, that they had a feast with these people and welcomed them with open arms, right? That's what we were told. So they knew how to work the land. So why would you bring some foreigners over here that don't know nothing about this damn land to work the land? See, that's when it starts to get a little muddy, a little murky. Where are all the slave ships at? Why would you just use what's already here? See, we are the natives, guys. We are indigenous to this land. That damn narrative is so false. You know, I'm from a town called Mound Bayou. And it's called Mound Bayou because of the mound that once was there. This huge native Indian mound that was once there and the bayou that ran through. Well, you know what? There are so many mound builders that nobody ever talks about that built these elaborate mounds all over the USA, all up and down the Mississippi River, the Nile. And we don't understand this stuff. Large one like what's that? Monk's Mound up in like what's that? Illinois, St. Louis. So one of the oldest one down in what is that? Poverty Point. You got one even on the campus of LSU. Check into it because they don't know when we got here. But it's such a false narrative. This is our land, and it's time now that the natives of this land wake the hell up and realize what we're dealing with. We're dealing with some nefarious, low-down, dirty bastards that don't mean us any well. And I just hate to tell you that running to the damn polls in some election and getting Trump out of here is not going to be the answer to our fucking prayers. Pardon my French. Yeah, I just cussed. It is not going to be the answer to our fucking prayers. It's just going to continue to exacerbate the situation. Putting the DMs in ain't going to do shit. Okay? Taking the orange man out ain't going to do a goddamn thing. It ain't going to change nothing. Put it out there. We got to understand what we're dealing with. Our government has long been dissolved. We're dealing with a fake de facto government. Okay? It ain't no different if you're dealing with Walmart or JCPenney. Now, I keep saying that to the day they take me off this damn earth. We better wake up and realize what's really going on. And stop letting these knuckleheads continue to play games with us. We are at war. Don't be disillusioned. This war is real. Even when these riots end, there's going to be the covert silent war. Okay? So just be ready and be mindful. We need a protectorate. Okay? Some way to a real thing to keep us safe. Because listen, man, they've already allocated 60, 65 cents of every dollar to the military industrial complex. And so if we're going to try to fight in that way, good luck. Thanks for playing. Surveillance is here 24/7, even with the phones and the paid snitches, and with surely to come with the quantum tattoo to see if you got the vaccination with the chip, with the mark. All this stuff has been prophesized. It's all real and it's all right here. Just be ready. I'm just a dude that's trying to connect the dots and put the pieces together. You know, I'm 45 years old. I realize I'm already on borrowed time. So what the hell I'm afraid of some invisible enemy? I'm a black man in America. I'm a Moor in America. Okay, I'm a sovereign dude in America. Come on, man. Listen, God allowed me to see 45. If I don't get to 46, so be it. But this is a whole bunch of bullshit, guys. This is a whole bunch of bullshit. Just put it out there. Don't fall for the smoke and mirrors, man. All of it is fake. That media, all of it is straight bullshit, straight garbage. Turn that shit off, man. And you might get some sense of peace and just live your life. Every white person, so-called white person you see ain't bad. And even that word white, they're not white. You got to call them, they're Caucasian. See, white was never a designation designed for a race of people. White was just it just meant free. And it was actually meant for you Moors. It didn't mean to cast on the Caucasian because it all said that the Caucasian is not even a white man. He's not even, his white was a status mean free white persons. And that meant for people like that look like me and you, if you were free. It didn't mean something about somebody's skin color. So we're so ignorant because we're under the spell. Okay? We speak things, speak, we cast, we speak it, and it comes into existence. So I can trick you to speak the wrong thing, to cast the wrong spell over yourself. So just be mindful of that. So I want to just double check, make sure that I haven't missed anything. I made myself a few notes. Look like that's it. I guess we'll see. But anyway, guys, excuse my language. It's a different day. This is Eliante Bell. This has been Right Now Revelation. All right, so we're in the lab, still doing it up. Got a little homework now, okay? So check out as time permits, Agenda 21. Now it's going to be Agenda 2030, okay? Check out Operation Paperclip and also Project Bluebeam. Get time, look into the Georgia Guidestones. It's telling you a whole lot of that stuff. So this thing is next level. Look into these things. It'll bring in a little bit more of the knowledge of what's been going around for a while. Most folks just thought it was all conspiracy, but just check into it again. I repeat, okay, Georgia Guidestones, Operation Paperclip, Project Bluebeam, okay, and then what did I just miss? Okay, so anyway, check it out. Okay, Agenda 21 and also Agenda 2030. Celiante Bell, this has been Right Now Revelation. Peace.